Allow you to wait it.
Okay.
One more zero. Well, another.
Happy birthday. Happy to enjoy it. I missed that.
Weather forecast. Yes. So jobs you have, mess up every day. It's a good job. I would have economics majors, college, we always did it, but we were like, so that we were both going to this friends, what had happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to.
That's showing it's here. I use apps for this thing. Most of them.
Hey, you made it. I didn't think so. Were you still at the chamber? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and open the council meeting. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call, please, Carol.
Steve Beardsley,
Present.
Mike Wright,
Present.
Grant Fuller,
Present.
Joe Palmer,
Present.
Megan Sheets, Clarence Worthen, Eric Woods.
Okay, we have the minutes from November 28th, 2022 regular meeting. I'll make the motion that we approve the council minutes from November 28th.
Awesome.
Steve Beardsley,
Aye.
Mike Wright, Grant Fuller,
Abstain.
Joe Palmer,
Aye.
Megan Sheets,
Aye.
Clarence Worthen,
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Okay, minutes passed from November 28th regular meeting. Was there any, no public comments? Okay. Next, I'm going to recess the council meeting and open the public hearing on resolution 22-13. Les, do you want to talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes, Mayor, this is the request for tax abatement for GW Frankfurt LLC. That is the owner of the premises the Goodwill store is located on. They had filed a declaratory resolution that was passed. It's now set for public hearing. And anyone who is here who wants to object certainly can. But the resolution is to confirm the designation as an economic revitalization area. And that would allow them to obtain a property tax deduction for 4 years. It's 100% for each of those 4 years, and then it terminates. So that is before the council, and if that is approved, then an ERA has to be filed with the county auditor and assessor on the tax abatement for 4 years.
Are there any questions, comments, concerns? Everything is okay. I will go ahead and close the public hearing and reopen the council meeting at 7:03.
So this is so that you get a tax abatement?
Yes.
Brent, the reason for the tax abatement, I think you weren't at the meeting where we gave an explanation. There was a change, and Don, correct me if I'm wrong here, a change in the requirement of the water line on that property during the development after they had substantial design. So it required an additional $200,000 that they weren't counting on. So what we did was we computed roughly that their 100% abatement for 4 years would garner about $120,000 to help offset that. that, so it doesn't cover their entire extra expense, just, you know, was looking for around half, a little over half. So that was the computation there, so it's not that Goodwill itself needs an abatement, it's, it was the development, a little bit of an oversight, so this is just a way to help.
Resolution number 22-13, confirmatory resolution designating an economic revitalization area.
Make a motion to pass 22-13.
A second.
Roll call, please.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Mike Bright.
Aye.
Grant Fuller.
Aye.
Joe Palmer.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Clarence Worthing.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Aye.
Resolution number 22-13 passes. Or is this where we did the declaratory, so this is everything they need to do, okay. Okay, next on the agenda is resolution number 22-12, and it's a resolution directing transfer of appropriated funds. And Carol, would you like to talk to us about that?
Yes, so my office came up a little short in our HR office supplies, and we had some additional funds that we won't be using in travel expense this year, so we're looking for council approval to move those funds over.
I'll move to pass resolution 2212.
Second. Roll call, please, Carol.
Steve Beardsley.
Aye.
Mike Bright.
Aye.
Grant Fuller.
Aye.
Joe Palmer.
Aye.
Megan Sheets.
Aye.
Clarence Worthing.
Aye.
Eric Woods.
Okay, resolution number 22-12 passes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, we have resolution 22-14, a resolution authorizing donation of property to Indiana Nonprofit Corporation.
Mayor, at Kimberly Black's request, we're going to withdraw that and do that next year because there's going to be a name change in the YMCA out there.
I wondered about
Wait,
that.
yeah, so we'll just resubmit it.
Okay, as we know, that's gonna change January 1st. I don't know if anybody remembers or not, but actually, that land had been owned by the Y in the beginning. Then when we had the tragic accident out there on South Mesh Road, there were no sidewalks at the time. So the city donated for a walking path, and there were donations that came in from the neighborhood that were able to support that and to keep that going. But there's no longer any donations. So I think it was last year, wasn't it, Jason, we took care of it somewhat, and so the Y, or now it's gonna be Core, wants that back. I mean, they said they would take it back and they will maintain the walking path, and so it would keep us from having any maintenance on that type of thing. So like Les said, with the change coming up January 1st, then we'll probably just wait and bring it before you then. Okay, is there any old business? When did you want to do this?
Speak to that.
Okay, Carol, you want to go ahead and talk to us about that?
In your packet, I included the proposed 2023 meeting schedule. The items of note are the first meeting in October, which typically conflicts with the Columbus Day holiday. And we've always moved that to the next available day, which is a Tuesday, which would be Tuesday, October 10th in 23. And then again, we have a conflict with city holidays on Monday and Tuesday, December 25th and 26th, which would be the city Christmas holidays. So the proposal is to move that meeting to Wednesday, December 27th, if that is agreeable to everyone.
At some point, I do want us to address this whole issue. I've talked to most of you at some point about it, but according to our code of ordinances, the city council meets once a month on the second Tuesday, Monday, and then special meetings can be called on the fourth Monday, and that's the norm. And we've fallen into a habit of always having both of them. And I guess I don't have a problem with having both of them when there's a need, but so oftentimes over the last 5 years, we've had meetings that didn't last 10 minutes, that didn't deal with anything urgent. And when that happens, the clerk's office has to get everything ready for a meeting, and people have time out of schedule to be here for a 5 or 10 minute meeting. So at some point, I think we ought to consider doing this. And again, when there's a need, if there's a pressing need to get a second hearing on an item, second reading, second approval, by all means, go ahead and call that meeting, but maybe restrict that meeting to the purposes that is needed for. And especially now that the legislature allows for remote attendance, that people say, well, there's only gonna be one item and it's gonna be 10 minutes. And it's just, we're having that second meeting just for that, have more remote attendance. Just make the process more efficient and actually save us some money too in the clerk's office of all the preparation time and the copying and everything else. So I don't necessarily want to change this at this point, but it's something that I think we ought to take under advisement and think about doing.
Plus, I just have a question about, I think we talked about it once before. Is it our own home rule that says 3 reads for an ordinance? And is that changeable to 2?
You only have to have 2.
So it's our home rule that's made it 3.
Correct. Our council rules, they were adopted many years ago.
So we would have to amend that, because I know a lot of municipalities will just.
And Rich Starkey said this is the only community he knows that asks for 3 readings.
So I guess those are a couple things we can think about and maybe make some sort of decision the first of next year.
The original second meeting was always pleasure of the mayor. If something's there, you need to call that second meeting. It's there for you to do. So,
Yeah, the ordinance says that either the mayor or 2 council members can call for the second meeting.
Which I would like to hear some input, from you, what your thoughts are as we move forward.
well, we got an ordinance before, as you know, we don't want to stretch it out over 3 months,
Right.
trying to get that thing done.
That's the
Unless
thing,
it's something
yeah.
that's not important, then it's no big deal.
Right. We have readings on ordinances.
Les, is the public meeting part of it that often makes us have to go to a second one, is that statutory, or is that something that we could address?
Public hearing,
Yes,
that is statutory.
that's statutory, okay. So that if there's something urgent, we may have to call that second one so we can have the public and the second, but not often does that happen. And I want to be available to constituents, but I think we've got a pretty good system of having all of our names and contact information, and I think we're a pretty open door kind of place that if people have issues, they can get to us. I don't want to cut off people's opportunity to have access to the city, but I think we've done a good job of providing access.
It would just be a matter of getting the 48-hour notice out on the second meeting and making sure you have a forum.
And during budget period of we probably will need to have those. I mean, there's times when we do need to have that second meeting, but there's been times when we all laugh, oh, that was 5 minutes, yeah, but how much of the staff's time and how much paper was used and all those different things that was unnecessary.
Well, I personally like, if we're gonna look into changing it, I would like for it to be some input to the mayor and it be done for the next year. If we're gonna change it. Putting it off for a year, I don't think solves anything.
Right.
So I know we had a short time here.
And like this I think is informational. I think that could just be done at any point. It's not, by saying this, we're saying that's the plan. I don't think that we're committed to it.
Yeah.
We could.
This hasn't
back
been
off on it.
released yet to the press or media, so.
Yeah, as much as anything, I just wanted to make sure there was a little time to digest it and talk and see if people are in agreement on.
And this would also hold those dates in reserve if we do need them. It doesn't commit us to holding a meeting on those dates. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we
Mr.
would always keep it published that's the intended possible second date, but only call the first one pending.
But the one thing, I'm gonna be honest here, since I've been on the council, the one thing that when you say the public coming in here to our meetings and having a chance to do that, in the 3 years to now, do you know how much public's been in here? Twice. 2 people have come in, and that was for the State Road 28 project. So I don't,
No, I agree, although there have been times when people like that access.
because I think they can still access the mayor.
Yeah.
So I was a little disillusioned on that part, to be quite frank with you. I mean, when you watch social media and see the complaints but then nobody comes in to see how it actually works. You know, so I'm not real concerned about it. They can go to the mayor.
That's why she gets big.
That's right. Okay,
Okay,
I said my piece.
okay.
All right.
Anybody else? Okay, give us some food for thought for the first of the year. Okay, new business. We have with us this evening, General Manager Todd Torrey and USB Chairperson Kent Brewer, and they're gonna give a presentation on the electric tracker factor.
We'll make this a lot shorter than we were at the USB meeting the other night. We'll go through it. If there's any questions, bring them up. We are getting this information out here of about the tracker factor and how the tracker factor works. It will not, no city resident or ratepayer will see the effect of the tracker factor until their February bill. So we'll go through them, and at any time if there's a question, bring it up. Anybody out here has a question, ask it. I want to thank Todd, Sarah, and Stacy Ewitz for collecting a lot of the data that I asked for to get this information. What is the tracker factor on my bill? That's a big question. What does tracker factor mean? And how does the tracker work? This right here, this is from the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, the IURC. This chart right here is probably the most important chart that you will see there. This morning at 4:30, that's the time I do a lot of, someone was getting emails from me at that time. Channel 13, there was a very interesting article. I think Steve's shaking his head, he's seen it. The third one, you got CenterPoint, you got Duke Energy, and you got Northern Indiana, which is NIPSCO. They were before the IURC today. They are requesting for 2023 to raise the monthly bill $107 for 2023, and in 2024, $134. They were before the IURC today. If you go through this chart, you'll see down there, Tipton's the lowest, Auburn, and then Frankfort Municipal Utilities is a third from the bottom. Lebanon, Richmond, Anderson, Crawfordsville. All of us on that bottom down there are members of IMPA, Indiana Municipal Power Association. Is then you've got AES, which is pretty much so Indianapolis, Indiana, Michigan's up north, NIPSCO, Duke, and then CenterPoint. The tracker factor. A tracker is an automatic adjustment clause which allows a utility to automatically change the rates charged to customers to track changes in the cost of purchase power cost and fuel costs. Municipal utility is a not-for-profit entity and normally operates on narrow margins. Purchase power costs are typically 75 to 80% of the utility's operating costs. The price that utilities pay for wholesale power is outside the control of the utility and tends to be variable. The variability can be caused by swings in fuel costs, coal, natural gas, etc., generating plant outages, the purchase of replacement power in the energy market, and utilities' monthly load factor, which causes month-to-month variation. The tracker is a mathematical formula included as part of the utility's approved rate, which makes the adjustment in retail rates, which are necessary to reflect changes in power costs, whether increase or decreases. Says tracker factor on all of everyone in here that has a FMU bill. Ours is called a tracker factor. I have in parentheses beside it, it's called a rider. Duke calls theirs rider. We have one. Duke has 11. Duke has 11 riders on their bills. I don't have that in here. The presentation that I had out, I cut this one down to not take so much time. I'm in a unique situation that I've got a grain operation on Boone REMC. We have a hog operation on Duke, and then I have my farm that's on FMU, and so can get a good comparison of the different rates. How the tracker factor is calculated. Tracker factor is calculated every 3 months. FMU supplies our kilowatts sold or revenue received and input invoices to a third party to calculate. We use at FMU, we use Gimbel & Associates. After 2023, we'll be picking a different company. Gimbel is Keith Gimbel, I think is his first name.
Correct.
He's retiring, and his dad had done the business, and he's calculated FMU's Gimbel & Associates has for quite a while. IMPA offers that service. Lebanon Utilities, I think, uses IMPA. It's something that we'll probably look into. Gimbel turns that information into the IURC, who approves the changes, the recommendations of how that is. I've got some quick bills here. These are residential invoices. Kind of hard to see maybe. Sorry for the black things. I tried to take customers' names out of it. This is a invoice from 2019. As you can see, the amount of electricity that was used by that home was $90.19. For that 3-month period, the tracker factor was a negative 0.007012. And so the tracker took $5.82 off of that electric bill for that particular month. In 2020, and we tried to go with the current billing of the November, December billing. The tracker factor took off of the $91.41 amount of electricity that was used, took $4.76 off of that one customer. That's one customer, and we have 7,774 A-rate customers. And this is A-rate. That's all we're concentrating on is A-rate. In 2021, was $1.86. Was taken off of the 79.47 bill. The tracker factor was a negative 0.002709 in 2021. In 2022, you'll see two changes. In July, state legislation done away with the URT tax, which is a utility regulatory tax. And when they done away with that, for us, it's a flow through. All the customers were charged the URT tax, and then we sent that right straight back to the state. They done away with that in July, and so in August, our base rate, our base charge that was $8 went to $7.89 per house, and our energy charge, which was the same all the other months, it was 0.099021, and that went to 0.097615, which equates out to about 1.4% decrease in base charges. No net effect to the utilities as far as revenue. It's just less work now. We don't have to pay tax. So you can see in 2022, the tracker factor went positive the last 3 months, and that positive number was a 0.000712. And on this bill here of 73.47, the tracker added 44 cents to the bill. We'll go through these quickly. I kind of summarized them. In 2018, the number you can see right there where the tracker amount was, FMU ratepayers saved $1,091,485.88 in tracker revenue was subtracted off of the bills in 18. In 19, there was 1.1,085,751.77 that was saved off of FMU's bills. In 2020, there's 1.2,089,649.94 was saved. In 2021, there was 742,287.85 in tracker factor money that was saved that the ratepayers did not pay. If you can look there to the other side, you can see in 2021, our IMPA bill increased by $1.7 million that year there. 2022, 325,826.88 is the amount of revenue that was brought into FMU with the tracker factor. We had a $1.3 million increase in our IMPA bill that year there. How the tracker worked. There's the amount that the FMU customers saved because of tracker factor from 2018 through 2022. There was $3,983,348.55. The amount our IMPA bill changed in that same time frame was our IMPA bill went down $69,400.58. This is the one this is 23 projected. This is the first 3 months, January, February, and March. As you can see over here, the upper right-hand corner, calculated our tracker factor that INFA gave us the last week of October. They told us our new tracker factor would be 0.007454. And so running the 7,752 meters on the A-rate, that shows that your February bill for your January usage average, you know, and it'll be higher than that and it could be lower than that, but it'll be $7.94 increase. That is for the first 3 months. My speculation is that the next 3 months, the tracker factor will go down. Historically, how it goes, from all the data that we had up there, if you watch it, it will go down there. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what, you know, we are a proactive group and want to get it out here instead of in February when all of you guys get phone calls that, hey, my electric bills went up, and they're calling us to come in and explain it. We got this information in October. I put this all together in the month of November. We shared it a week ago tonight out at the USB meeting with it to get out in front of it so that we knew where it was at, where it was going. Our rates are not climbing by like our neighboring counties are, Boone REMC, the Dukes, the Tittmong REMCs. There. All right. The last slide I have here, this is transparency. This is in reply to after our last meeting, our presentation, there was a Facebook post put out and some remarks from the previous mayor that the Utility Service Board was not transparent. You see what the definition of transparent communication is. It's the act of both good and bad information being shared upward, downward, and laterally in a way that allows all to see the way behind the words. I believe that our Utility Service Board has been way more than transparent to, you know, get this out here. We've been here numerous times to address any questions on anything. The last thing that we want to do is put any burden or strain on a ratepayer. We work with our budgets to keep them in line. So, you know, out there with what's out there, you know, if we're not transparent, I want you guys to tell us. But that's it's our job, my job, to communicate with what's going on out there, whether it's a rate increase, a rate decrease in water, wastewater, and we can,
Less money can, I think you made it pretty clear that this really isn't, this is not the fault of our utilities. It's not the fault of the city. this is the fault of the higher price of coal and where those materials come from. It's, if we get calls from folks, wanting to know why we're doing this, it's not our control.
This is not in our control. This is not, you know, it's all the effect of a tracker factor that is when we had the rate increase in 2017, it was the tracker factor was put back to 0. They calculated there, and as the years since 17, well, it went into inception in 18, you've seen the amount of, dollars it's saved. Basically, the tracker factor is to keep the, municipality so it just doesn't make a large amount of money.
So I think a couple of things that we want the ratepayers to know is this isn't anything that, like you said, Mike, we have any control over. We have a third party that figures this tracker factor from different areas. I mean, the cost of the energy, all sorts of different things. That's nothing that we as city council, the utility service board, anybody has any control over. This is from higher up things that are happening, cost of energy, those type of things. So it's nothing that the utility service board has failed to tell people or have not been transparent. These are things we have no control over. I feel that what Kent is trying to do is to let the people know that right now it looks like that tracker factor is going to increase, but that's because the cost of energy is going to increase along with whatever else they use in that formula. Yes.
The tracker factor is increasing. We know
Yeah.
the number for the first 3 months.
Yeah.
And that's the calculation.
But by the same token, if that cost is not there, all those things that contribute to that, that's passed on to the ratepayer as well as a credit on their bill every month. I'm having a lot of people question me as well. Rates aren't going up. Rates have to be approved by you as the city council. Rates are not going up. That's a really misconception that's going around right now. And I want people to understand that those rates are not. But the tracker factor, which we all have no control over, is what's going to increase.
And even with the increase, we're still well below many of our
Yes.
surrounding areas.
Mhm. And I think the emphasis you were trying to put as well is when that tracker factor was down, then that was passed on to the ratepayers as well. So those are times that people don't notice that negative that comes off of their electric bill every month. Now it's going to reverse because the cost of everything's going up and that's going to be added on to. But the rate has not been increased, nor is there any talk of it at this point. And that's one of the misconceptions that's going around right now. And I think people need to understand that. This is nothing that the city council's done or that the utility service board has any control over.
IMPA in 2022, IMPA raised our cost $1 million. It's going to be about 1.3. In 2023, it's going up $3 million. Is what they already told us. That's what we have put into our budgets is a $3 million increase. I'll hit on budgets real quickly. I've been here before for a couple different times. I've stated to the USB board. Our budgets have been pretty much so dialed in except for a few things. We've been waiting on some information from the clerk treasurer's office to finish them out. We are in a union negotiations that we have made a proposal to, and have they accepted?
They voted tonight, except for 3 people were not there, so they're hoping to have the final vote count tomorrow. I was just informed while we were in here.
And so, you know, we are setting our budget. We don't have, bank recs reconciled from, I believe, August. I turned in a budget last year that we didn't have bank recs, you know, our accounts balances checked and reconciled. I've got a budget done. We are holding a work session on Wednesday night. The entire USB board has our budgets. We're going to talk about them and give you some quick numbers of them. All of you guys will have one in your mailbox in the clerk treasurer's office on Tuesday of next week. And then I will be here, your first meeting in January, to answer any questions. You look through them, you can answer any questions. Our 2023 budget right now, and it can change a little here and there, we're going to be at $51,926,671.80. That's what we're turning in. Our budget for 2022 was $49,777,078.91. And we've implemented some different things in our budgeting process. Obviously, with those types of numbers, we work off of rates, you know, and they're hard to calculate what your revenue is going to be. And so the longer time frame you have to put in there, the better off. You will see from the budgets we turn in, we've implemented some things in there that tracks how it does. And on the right-hand side, you'll see over budget or within the budget. And you're going to be very surprised at how well our superintendents have kept to their budgets when you see that. My goal and Todd's goal is we want to have what we call green down the whole right side. That's probably not going to happen all the way. Wastewater treatment plant, we've had a tremendous amount of high added expense with different stuff. You know, things just went up on us. Same thing out at the water treatment plant to treat the water. And so what that is, that's a $2.1 million increase in our budget. If you heard me say a minute ago, IMPA is increasing our bill by $3 million, you would think our budget would go up. So obviously we are taking very good care of our budget to be able to absorb a $3 million increase, but only increase our overall budget by 2.1 million, which is 4.3% increase from last year to this year. Those numbers, the 2022s are set in stone. The 2023s have not been yet until we have our workstation. I know we've got a contract here or two that we're working on and everything else to finish out the year as we go into next year. Any questions? Anybody?
The only question I got, Ken, is you mentioned the former mayor putting something on Facebook. When did that happen?
Last week.
Okay. I'm gonna make a point here, and I don't care who I make mad. I'm getting tired of Chris McBarnes putting his 2 cents in. He left a month into his being voted in. He knew he was leaving. He no longer has anything to do with this city, and I wish he'd stay out of it. If he truly cared about the city of Frankfort, Indiana, he'd stay out of it. He's guiding people coming into the next election. If these people can't stand on their 2 feet and gotta have him to do it for them, then they've got a problem. And you can print that. Chris McBarnes needs to stay out of politics and off of Facebook and anything dealing with the city of Frankfort. He's no longer here. He's no longer, his advice, as far as I'm concerned, is we don't need it. Every time he turns around, he's causing a problem for here. And where's he at? I can't even remember what state he's in, but Wyoming. Stay in Wyoming, leave your thoughts in Wyoming, stay out of Frankfort.
You know, it's just like, you know, and I'll echo that.
It's just a continuing problem.
Right.
And he doesn't know, he got no clue.
You know, it's Todd and I take a pretty good beating. You know, we've taken a beating that, you know, you guys need replaced. You can't turn in a budget. Well, you know what? There's reasons we can't turn in a budget. When I came on here 10 years ago, the city council got nothing but expenses. The city council and the USB wanted to go opposite directions. And I said, we are going to work together and get along. And today, I believe we get along very well. We've made big strides. When I came on here 10 years ago, within the first year, this utility was about bankrupt. Nobody around, nobody on the social media had to deal with what I had to deal with Judy and trying to figure out where to pay a $2.4 million HIPAA bill. I mean, we stress. You know, there had been no rate increase for 19 years. And so, you know, we have had to have the rate increase. Obviously, you could see by the one slide, that rate increase back then did not put us in the lead of the race. And we're not going to go to the lead of the race. We have, you know, I have told every one of my department heads, and I'll cover Todd the exact same way. Nobody will cut down one of my department heads in a meeting, a public meeting. I will back every one of them. Todd and I work very hard on these budgets. We were doing these budgets from 9 o'clock yesterday until noon, working on budgets, tweaking them. And we got it with $51 million. You better know what you're doing to get it in there. Yeah, you know, we're doing our best. We're transparent. We get it out there. We're proactive. You know where my phone number is? I believe every one of you have it. Everybody has Todd's phone number. If there's any questions, you know, we meet the opposite Monday of you guys. Show up. We get very, very little public, as you stated earlier, come to the meetings. I do not put it on YouTube. And as long as I'm chairman, it won't be on YouTube. Until it'll be on YouTube when we're in quarantines or closed down. But as soon as when our doors are open to the public, they got a question, they can come there and ask it. Don't hide behind YouTube, Facebook. Come and ask us, we'll get you an answer.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Thanks for your professionalism and transparency.
Thank you.
I think all of our, I think our mayor's doing a good job, I think all of our department heads are doing a good job.
Thank
I
you.
haven't cut down, it's just.
Thank you. Yeah. Rod, anything else? Okay. Next we have, Director of Planning and Housing Initiatives, Don Stark.
Council members. Yeah, it won't take me very long, Chris. I want to do a report on the SHARP program that the city and the county is a participant of. It's a great program. It's a program that helps our senior citizens, anyone over the age of 62, to help them stay in their home. And Megan, make sure that I'm going through this right, all right? Because I know you said it on this meeting. And I'll make sure I get my notes right. So last year, the total funding in our region that we're a part of was $3.96 million for a program called NIP, AMP, and HOP. What NIP does, if I'm remembering properly, it takes care of the home as in roofing and bathrooms and things of that nature. I think AMP takes care of hot water heaters and things that are inside the home. And we do not participate in the HOP program. The HOP program are first-time homeowners. Well, last year, with the money that of the 3.96 million, we served 28 households, awarding $203,991. And of that, the city served 15 households and the county served 13 households. Our total funding was $107,528, and the county was $96,463. I believe that this is right. This year, when the funding opened at April 29th for the 3.96 million, let me go again. It opened up on April 18th, the $3.96 million that we awarded. The funds were exhausted in April 29th. And the money was all gone at that time. Now they're making some changes in that process and trying to make sure that kind of doesn't happen in the future. So there are some changes that are coming down. We'll know about more in January. But this is a program that I thought that, and the SHARP board thought that you might be interested in as far as what we give out and what we do. If I'm not mistaken, in the years that we have done this program, 122 homes have been taken care of, and most of them will be in the city because the county just started. At a total of $903,693 is what we have been giving out and helping senior citizens with their homes. So I just wanted to have you have that information, and if there's any questions, be happy to answer those. Pastor Tom is the gentleman who leads the program for us, and then Karen Gregerson is the president of our group organization. Karen does a great job. A big benefit for us is that she's now president of the home loan program that helps us get this funding. So maybe good things are going to happen in the future, but we'll see. But that's the information that I wanted. Any questions if you have any?
Thank you, John, because I'm not sure everyone knows how helpful this is to our community and helping the elderly, or I think even the disabled as well, right? They can come to you. I don't know that there's an age limit on that. So it's very important to our community that we have that money available. And I really thank Karen Gregerson. I mean, she was one of the initial ones, her and Tom Jameson that took this over from the beginning. So So we're pretty thankful for all the programs we have in the community to help
One of
others.
our better ones.
Yes, it is. And of course, we fund the salary for Tom Jameson, so. Okay. Does anybody else have anything? I do. I don't know if anybody else does. Okay, so tonight I think is our last council meeting for this year. Is that correct? You're not coming back in 2 weeks. Did I hear that right? Nobody's coming back? Okay, that's what I thought.
All rebelling.
So I have a special presentation tonight that I would like to do. Les Bergham's retiring. And I wished he wasn't, but he is. December 31st as city attorney. This guy is, I'm telling you, he's great. We've been so fortunate to have him. He's a wealth of knowledge and we're going to miss that. Very good in municipal government. Taking some extra training in that too, haven't you? Occasionally. On behalf of the city council and myself, Les, I want to thank you for your many years of service to the city of Frankfurt. And so I'm going to present to you a key to the city of Frankfurt. Thank you.
It's not us, you to get you out of jail.
There are friends that-
But we're gonna miss Les. He's still gonna be around, aren't you, Les? He's still gonna be around. Alicia Albertson, of course, I don't know if you know or not. She's in the same law firm as Les is, and she is going to become the attorney effective January 1st. But I'm sure Les will still be around to help us through some things. And like I said, his knowledge, we're gonna miss that a lot. Yeah, I do too, unless he changes it. So,
I want to add in there, I've always felt like I was a pretty hard worker in my life, but I always felt like I paled into this insignificance, how hard Les Bergham works. On top of how hard he works, I don't know of anybody with as much integrity and drive as him, and I'm proud to have been able to serve with.
I agree. I agree with you. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to add? Okay, I'll take.
Leave it on that one.
Okay, I'll take the motion.
So moved.
Okay, do I have a second? Okay. Okay. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Oh, a lot more fun.